afternoon, everyone. I'm Ryan Nicholas Gray.
Hello, my name is Aaron Connie Castle.
And I'm David DeWitt Taylor.
We welcome today Malkia Newman, a friend and advocate for those with challenges of all kinds. Malkia has a very important role to tell folks the mental health has been a part of her family for many years. She has a firm belief on the path of recovery. And an advocate, she is driving force Oakland County's, including mental health authorities, Anti-Stigma group that takes this message across the country to speak to people about mental illness and share her understanding and a path of recovery and hope. As a member of the CMS team, Anti-Stigma team program, she received numerous awards and recognitions, including the latest 2012-2011 award for the Cook Grant Spirit Award. For those who advocate, Malkia is here today to help us present ideas on the right privileges of all individuals about the word of voting. So, ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome our guest today, Malkia Newman.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me on Community Corner. I'm excited.
Please tell us briefly about your hobbies and interests.
Well, I like to sew, I like to do crafts, I like to sing, I'm active in my church, and my favorite hobby is my family, especially my grandchildren.
That's cool.
Are you working part-time or full-time?
I'm working full-time. I started out part-time, and I was able to work up to full-time, which was good for me.
Okay.
Share a little bit about your activities with committees at CMH Community Mental Health.
Well, at CMH, I'm a board member. I'm one of the board members that has personal lived experience with the mental health challenge. And I also serve as the vice chairman of the board, which is quite an honor and a big responsibility.
Okay, now tell us about your services on the OCMHA board.
Well, we oversee the board, the budget for the organization. We help to develop policies for the programs and services that the CMH offers. So we're quite involved in overseeing the work that's being done there, making sure that everything is done correctly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big job.
And you're doing a very important one, too.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
That sounds like a big job, too.
It is.
How do you advertise? How do you advertise your anti-stigma presentations?
We do it a couple of different ways. We have a website that people can go to where they get information about our program. We also have a Facebook page and a Twitter page where I don't tweet, but there's people in the office that do. So we want people to like us on Facebook and find out what we're doing that way. We also send out email notices and announcements about what we do. But our biggest way of advertising is word of mouth. People who've seen the presentation, love the presentation, and want other people to see it too.
How does your anti-stigma events get scheduled?
If someone wanted the CNS Anti-Stigma team to come and do a presentation for them, they could either go on our website to the Contact Us tab, and we'll get an email with all the information on it. We can contact that individual back, or they can call us at the office, or they could email us directly, and we can set it up for them. And we like to do personalized programs depending on what the audience, who the audience is, and what they want to know about mental health issues. So we try to make it really personal and enjoyable to the people that listen.
Okay, now, when or how did you develop your interests in public affairs?
Well, to be honest, I think it goes all the way to high school. I was thinking about this when I was preparing to come. I was in high school back in the 60s, and at that time they didn't have African American history as part of the curriculum. So we did a demonstration to get it into the school, and they changed our curriculum in school. So I think that's the first thing that really allowed me to see that everybody has a voice and everybody should use it.
That's
For the things that they-
That's very interesting.
That's pretty awesome.
Yes. So I've been doing things ever since.
Did your classmates like that?
Yes, we did. Because a lot of times when people make decisions, if they haven't had the experience that you have had, they might not think of things that are important to you. That's why my seat on the board is so important, because I received services through CMH before I became a person that was employed by one of the agencies that provide services, CNS, and also before I became a board member. So people who receive services, we have different needs, and we can communicate that in a different way from a person who's never experienced it. We have a story to tell, and we do it good.
Did you try to vote at all elections?
I'm sorry, David, what was the question?
Did you try to vote at all elections?
I do. I work as a precinct chairperson, which means I help to set up the polling place and help people when they come to cast their ballots to be able to do that. So I vote all the time. I know how important it is. And since I'm usually working the elections, I usually do my voting by absentee ballot, so I don't have to go to the precinct in person.
So, Malkia, tell me, how do you learn about the issues and candidates?
Well, I do it a couple of different ways. I like to go to forums like Meet the Candidate type forums where you can meet the people in person, ask them questions, and hear what their views are on the different issues. There's also a publication that I like to get when it's possible. It's put out by the League of Women Voters. They talk to all of the candidates and get their views about the issues, and then they publish it in a little newspaper where you can read up on it and find out what they think about the views. And I also do internet search.
Thank you.
When did you learn about the importance of voting?
When did I learn about the importance? When I started working the polls, that's when I really could see how important it was that everybody cast their vote. Sometimes elections are won or lost by 1 or 2 votes. So if somebody stays home, their vote could have been the one that would have changed the course of history. So a lot of times people think it's not important, but it's very, very important to exercise your right to vote. I believe that.
That's very important.
Yes, it is.
Does your advocacy work involve encouragement for all individuals to be involved in all lives activities, specifically voting?
Yes, my advocacy does work. I've had people come to me after I do a presentation and tell me how much they were inspired by hearing my own story and by sharing with them things that I've done. Had the opportunity to go to Lansing and talk to legislators. I've had the opportunity with David. We went to Hill Day this past June and got a chance to talk to people in Washington, D.C. about the issue. So advocacy, I believe that when we do things, it empowers us when we personally go and talk to people and share with them what our needs and our concerns are. And it does inspire people.
Why?
Okay, now tell us. So, what is your method to learn about the ballot proposals?
One of the things I do again is pick up the little newspaper that the League of Women Voters put out that explains the ballot proposals. But you can also go online to the Oakland County website, to the county clerk's office's website. They publish your ballot so that you can read it ahead of time and study it and find out what it is that the issues are, and then do your research that way. And they do it.
That's very important.
It is.
It's an important thing to do.
It is.
Have you worked for a candidate in an election?
I have. I haven't done it lately, but I have worked in the office answering phones. I've taken literature, passed out literature to people, but I haven't done it lately because I'm such a public figure now. People associate me with CMH and they associate me with my job. So I like to keep my own views private. I don't want to use the influence that I have to influence people in a direction that might not be appropriate.
Okay.
Is the best way I can think of it. So I have my personal views and I don't mind discussing it with people one-on-one, but I try to be very cautious about the stance that I take and what I say in public, because it is a reflection of CMH and it is a reflection of CNS where I work.
Okay.
And that's important to me, that I keep it separate.
Cool. David?
Oh, what do you know about the federally mandated automatic voting machine that assists those with challenges in voting in person?
I know quite a bit about the automark because I work the polls. All of the poll workers have to be trained on how to set it up and what it actually does. And it really helps people who may have difficulty with reading the ballot. It can read the ballot to you through headphones. If you're challenged with your sight, it helps you that way, that it reads the ballot to you. It can magnify the print and make the print bigger so that you can understand it. And it helps you with marking the ballot. So it makes it easier for people who have challenges, either with their sight or with their hearing, and they still want to cast their ballot. I think it's an excellent thing to have in every precinct, because no matter what your condition is, you still have the right to vote. And we should make it as easy as possible for people to vote, and the automark helps to do that.
Okay, I know.
Exactly. I'm meant to be everywhere that voting is.
Yes.
Okay, it's very important people vote, because simply when I go and vote, I'm voting absentee this year. It's very important people vote, because you know what? It only takes one person to vote this year, one person that can change the election.
That's true.
Okay, now some people are asking me this question for the last year or so. It is, tell us why you think it's so important that people with disabilities should vote. Tell us why you think it's important.
One of the main reasons why I think it's important that all of us who have challenges, especially those of us who, because of our circumstances, rely on services that are provided either through the county, the state, or the federal government, we need to let the people who make the decisions know how we're affected when budget cuts are made, when changes of policy are made. Because they've never lived our life, because they've never walked in our shoes, they don't know. A lot of times to them it's just numbers. But when we vote, we can tell them through our vote and through other ways that we advocate that we need you to be sensitive to the needs of people with disabilities, physical disabilities, mental disabilities, substance abuse issues. Because with the right kind of supports, we can have a good quality of life. And if you cut that, then that's not saving money. It makes it harder for the people with the disabilities. It makes it harder for the community, because we still have to live in the community. And if we don't have the help that we need, then we can become a burden. And we don't want to do that. We want to be able to do our share, to share our talents and abilities with the rest of the world. And the services we receive, either through CMH or through the state or through the federal government, help us to do that. So we have to vote. We have to let them know that it's important to us for you to hear us and listen to our concerns.
It's interesting, because voting is important to me, because when I go vote, it takes only one. I go and I say, remember, think about voting is important to everyone. I vote.
Okay. Tell us about absentee voting.
Absentee voting is really good if there's physical limitations that make it difficult for a person to go to the polling place to cast the vote themselves. They can contact either the county clerk's office, or they can contact the city or township where they live and have them mail the ballot to you to your home. You can fill it out in the privacy of your home and mail it back. And that way your voice can still be heard, even though you yourself may not be able to get out to do it. And then another thing I don't think people know is if you're hospitalized, if you're in the hospital, you can still vote. You can have the absentee ballot sent to you in the hospital. Or another thing I don't think people know, that if you're in jail and you haven't been convicted of a felony, you can still vote. So you can ask for the absentee ballot to be sent to you, and you can fill it out and send it back. So absentee ballots are very important for people who can't go to the polls themselves.
Okay.
We need them.
So there's really no excuse for people not to vote.
No excuse.
Okay.
No excuse. Absolutely.
What does it mean to be an informed voter?
To me, being an informed voter is taking the time to research the issues and voting your conscience, and not just depending on the ads that are on TV, because sometimes they're slanted, or just depending on the opinions of other people, because they may not always have your best interests at heart. So you need to find out, where do the people that want your vote, where do they stand when it comes to the services that we receive? Do they want to continue the services? Do they want to do what needs to be done to make a good quality of life for us? So being informed is knowing the issues and knowing the people that are running.
Are you on official registration voter scout?
Yes, I do. I carry my card in my wallet. It makes it easier when you go to the polls. That way you know you're in the right building to cast your ballot. And then some polling places have more than one place for you to go to vote. So the card has your number on it, so you know exactly where to go and who to see to cast your ballot. It makes it easier for the workers too if you have your card with you. So we recommend you take your voter card when you go to the polls. Makes it easier for everybody.
Would you please pose for me?
Micaiah, thanks so much for being our guest today and telling us about your personal journey of challenges and how you progress forward with courage and conviction to make progress on your recovery path. Hope and commitment are important qualities, and you have those with abundance. Your joy and good humor are so wonderful. You have inspired us, and I'm sure our listeners out there today are wondering why you've been our guest today. Thank you, Micaiah.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
That's okay.
Thanks.